Hey everyone, this is Derek with Forest Fire Customs. Today I'm going to show you how to design and woodburn your very own tama. We're going to cover materials, designs, techniques, and how to make your own cool kendama. Okay, first things first, you'll need to choose what you want to woodburn. We have tamas and we have kens. They come in various different wood types. We have beech, we have maple, and then we have ash. Some woods work really well for wood burning, and some can be a little bit of pain. I'm going to show you why some are good and why some might give you some troubles. So, most commonly when I get messaged, people usually ask me first, what's going to work best for you to woodburn on? Because a lot of times they send in their product for me to woodburn. I tell them that my favorite would be maple, beech would be second, and then third, anything but ash typically. Let me show you why ash can be a pain. So if you look here closely at the ash grain, it's very porous. You have hard sections here, and then you have soft sections here. When you're dragging your woodburner across it, it can soak into the grain here and it can really spread out. If you've seen like a Sharpie on a napkin or something, it's a pain. It's really hard to clean up and make clean. And I want to make the best product possible for my client. Also, you might get Purple Heart. Purple Heart, it burns great. It burns like maple, but the problem is it's a hardwood and it's really dark. So you might not be able to see the burn as much, and I want it to be able to stand out for the customer and look awesome. So that's why I go with maple. Maple, it's soft, it's light colored, and it just holds a burn really well. When you're designing on it, the only problem I can see is if you have to re-stencil things a lot with pencil, it can just spread, get a little messy, but a little bit of sandpaper and it's going to look perfect for your client. So if I was going to choose maple, perfect. Beech second, and then, try to stay away from the ash, but there's endless possibilities with kendama, so, experiment. Next on the list, you're going to need to choose where you want to put your design. Some spots are going to be easier to burn, some you might end up burning other parts of your can that you don't want to burn. So there's better spots and spots that are not so good. When I'm designing a tama, usually it can go anywhere. You can do it around it, you can do it on the top, you can even do it inside of the bevel. On kens, there's a lot of places, but there's a lot of places that make it difficult. Usually I'll remove the cups to make it easier to reach specific portions of it. There's insides, outsides, ups and downs, everything. You can burn everything on this. You might get a splice ken that has a dark wood and a light wood, so you might want to use that for a cool transition part. There's a ton of places you can do art on kendamas, but if I was going to do it on the tama, I would do it on the top, around the middle, around the inside, or on the ken. I like to go around the rim, up the sword of it, inside of the cup, or actually around the rim of the cup. So that's where I would choose a design to start. So once you've got your design chosen and where you want to put it, you're going to need a few tools to get this mapping started. You'll need a pencil and an eraser. That's it. So let's get started. For this design, let's decide that we're going to do it on the top of the tama. That's an easy one to work with, an easy one to map out, and one that I do pretty commonly. So to start, you'll need to map out a circle. You got a sphere here and you want it perfectly centered. So you can use various different items, a deck of cards, anything. We have this cool tool here that you can insert a pencil and it'll put it at a specific height. This is my V block that I have here. I like to use it. So you start by laying your tama on a flat surface. You have your bevel here that's going to fit perfectly on the table. Once you put your pencil on your flat item, you can just spin it across it and get yourself a nice perfect circle. This can work with painting, pencils, everything. So you can also do taller ones and get a little closer to center if you want. And you can see I'm kind of running out of room here on my height, so you can actually go ahead and use anything. You can stack a bunch of stuff on top of each other, make anything you want to do. So here we have a perfect circle. And if we want to do a design right dead center of this, the next thing I want to do is make a crosshair. So I'll take my pencil and I will draw a straight line across it, horizontally and vertically. And now you have kind of a rough of where the center is. So you can mark off maybe, you know, half an inch from one side, half an inch from another side. And now you know that your design is going to be perfectly in the center of this. So that's how I would map out a tama. And, you know, some people like to do geometric designs. Some people like to do traditional designs. You can choose anything. So, you know, geometric designs are a little bit more of a pain because you have to be precise. It's easier to tell if there's like inconsistency on gap distance if you were doing points or something. So I use pretty Neanderthal style tool here, a little corner of a piece of paper. It is as easy as it gets. So I decide that I want to do a mark from here to here, and I want to have a bunch of them all the way around it, and I want to have them end up with a matching size gap across it. So I'll take my corner of a piece of paper, I will lay it perfectly across gap to gap, and it's nice because the paper folds, it bends, it goes with the spear of the tama. So I go here, mark my distance from the edge of the paper. It might be hard for you to see here, but that's how it looks. So you can take it like this, and then you can just move it over one slot, put it there, mark it another one, and you can go gradually all the way around it until you make it back to your spot. It might not line up perfectly first time, but it's easy enough to just erase a little bit, make the gap a little smaller, and then you can just map out a nice, even, perfect spot. So that's how you would do it on a tama, and you can do it just as easily on the ken because also it's spherical, I guess you would say, and you're going to need a few taller items so that you can reach higher portions on here, but don't forget you're going to have your cups here, so, you know, go up to that area there, and then same thing, you can mark it anywhere on the ken, anywhere on the tama, and that's how I would map a design. It's pretty hard to figure out a way to stencil a design exactly, so if you want to do a character or something like that, it's going to be kind of difficult to get it perfect. So like I do, I just make a graph, look at it on my device, and then I just go off of it and try to make it as perfect as I can, and lots of erasing and lots of pencil work. Alright, so now that you've got a design chosen, I decided to draw a little mushroom. Everyone likes a little mushroom, so easy enough, good one to follow. So yeah, once you have your design chosen, you have to decide what tool you're going to use. This is my weapon of choice here. It's your Walnut Hollow Versa. It is one of the cheaper and easier to use wood burners. It's not very advanced. You get different tips for it. I'm going to show you how to use them, how to be safe with it. But here's another example of a wood burner. This is a razor tip wood burner. It's connected by two prongs that heats it. It has a very different tip shape there, but you know, there's tips for everything, and you can use them in any way. And yeah, they both work, and they're both awesome wood burners. This is the one I like to use, so yeah, let's get into it. This can be pretty dangerous. There's been incidents where I've forgot that it was plugged into an outlet, and I had it going for several hours. I mean, kudos to this thing for lasting a couple hours on full power, but also you don't want to burn your house down, so be careful. Do your research, wear safety glasses. Some wood dust can be, or wood smoke can be hazardous to breathe in. And yeah, you know, you can get burned on yourself. Gotta be careful. Wear gloves. Do all the safety precautions you need to be safe. So now that we're there, I'm going to show you how this thing works. Basically, you have one long cord. Plugs in, you know, stays out of the way. Works pretty good. And then you have a heat dial here that has various color codes that tell you where the heat is going to be. There's a manual that will actually tell you degree setting per color. When I'm doing line work, I like to have it kind of in the middle of the hottest section. Different tips work for different things, so you're just going to need to experiment. This thing, it's worked in. It's Haggard. It's lasted me a long time, and also Walnut Hollow, they're super receptive to insight. If you have any questions or anything, you can always email them too, and they're going to help you out. So once you have your wood burner here, don't plug it in yet. Let it stay cool. You're going to need a pair of pliers or something, and you can remove or tighten any of these, and it'll twist all the way out of it. And then we have different tips. These are the main 3 that I choose to use. We have this one that I use for my main line work. I use it for stipple shading. That's where you dot from dark to light to make shading. And then we have a bullet tip. The bullet tip is what I use to make solid black wood burns for logos or anything like that. And then this is basically a smaller version of the bullet tips. You can get tighter into nooks and crannies if you want to do font, eyeballs, pupils, everything. Works great for that. So we have the wood burner, we have the tip. Typically when I'm doing a design, I'll start with the line work and I'll get a nice little outline going so that I can at least erase the pencil, and then I know that that burn is the only thing left there, and then that's what I have to work with. And then once I've finished my line work, I will choose which tip I'm going to use to shade. So now that we've got that far, you've learned how to design a kendama, you learned about wood types, designs, how to map them on there, wood burners. We're going to get started and plug this bad boy in. Alright everyone, now it's time to start wood burning. So far we've learned about kendamas, about wood types. We've learned how to design a kendama, how to put a design on the kendama, and yeah, now we're going to start wood burning. The tip that I have in this, I'm going to do some line work. I like to categorize it into 2 sections as a rough line and a finish line. The rough line is basically just to get the design put on there in a light shade so that you can erase the pencil, because it's kind of hard to see what you're doing once the pencil is there, because it's like a larger line than the wood burn sometimes, or it'll give you a different shade. It's a little bit reflective. So we have our wood burner, we installed our tip. We're going to use this one for the liner. We have it set to whatever temperature you like. I like to run it kind of hot so that I can do it kind of quicker, I guess. Obviously a colder temperature would make it burn slower, so we're going to have a little warmer. And then I have you can use anything. Typically these would come with a stand so that you can stand it up safely, take breaks. You have a grip here so that you don't burn your little fingies. And yeah, so we're going to get right into this bad boy. This is the design once again. It's a cool little mushroom. And we're just going to do the line work. We're going to do no shading, anything like that. So the wood burner, I hold it similar to a pencil. I have the grip pushed up all the way. And then as I'm coming in, I would say it's probably like a 30 or a 25 degree angle, slightly against the wood. Let's get everything out of the way, make sure you guys have a good view of everything. So I have the line work, and you have the tip here. The tip is larger than the line drawn, but it's only going to be where the metal is touching the wood. So you should be able to get in there close enough to where it matches the line. So you go up against it, and I like to imagine it if you've drawn a line with a pencil and you're following it with a Sharpie. We've done it in school where you're just trying to outline something. You just follow against it and put even pressure and let the wood burner do the work. You don't want to have to press into it too hard to where it's going to leave a dent. You want it to soak up the heat. Yeah, so let the wood burner do the work, go around it, and just follow your path. And then I'm rotating the tama with my hand rather than moving the wood burner. That works better for me. Some people move the wood burner. Whatever works for you. I kind of brace my hand against the edge of the table so that there's not a lot of movement. You want it to be as rigid as possible so that you're not shaking and stuff. If you have to hold it close to your thumb, be careful, because even being close to the wood burner can give you a little burn damage there. So it's going to be a little trial and error to hold this thing comfortably. You don't learn how to hold a pencil overnight. You don't learn how to hold a kendama overnight too. And and it can strain your hand a little bit holding onto the ball like this. You won't notice like you're clenching your jaw. You'll be holding it tight, and then you'll take it off and your hand will be sore. So make sure to take some time to take care of your hands and stretch and do everything, because if you end up liking this and you want to do it forever, you want to be able to do it forever comfortably and not suffer any major repercussions from it. Yeah, so this is just a light pass to show you guys, but basically I'm just following around the entire outside. Boom. And then we're gonna fast forward and show you the final outline there. Alright, so we have completed our rough pass. Once again, we're using our liner here, and this is kind of a little look what you see here. If you've seen my work, a lot of times it's really bold lines, and it will be that eventually. I like to do this rough pass here. It looked a little bit different, but I can erase all my pencil work around it so that the only thing left is my woodburn lines. Then I know that's what I have to work with. That's what I got to clean up. I don't have to, accidentally go over some pencil thinking it's my line and then make the problem worse than it is, And the idea is to get this thing as clean as possible. So I'm going to give you one pro tip here. If you grab yourself some sandpaper, this is 400. You can use 240, whatever you want. Sometimes the lines will get a little crazy on you when you're getting the finished pass here, and if you're like me and you got the OCD and you have to have it perfect, you can take it here and just lightly go on some edges. This would be on your finished pass, of course, but go across some edges and clean anything up, and then you'll see there's a little like bald spot from where you've sanded it. Just rub it with your fingers, get some hand oil on there, and boom, good as normal. So we're going to go and do our finish pass. Also here, this could be a handy thing for you to have. This is just a little fan with a carbon filter. Wood burning, you get smokes, you get smells. Also, if someone sends you in a tama that's been played, I like to do fresh ones, but I have wood burnt ones that have been played before. Whatever they're holding on a daily basis and holding on this kendama, if you burn it, it's going to smell like that. I had one instance where it smelled like teriyaki, and I was like, hey dude, you like teriyaki? And he's like, I eat it every day for lunch. I was like, I can smell that. When I'm burning this tama smells like teriyaki sauce. So tamas, they get dirty. Alright, so now we're on to our finish pass. So we got our rough pass, looks a little sketchy. Yep, but we're almost done with this thing. I mean, you could play it right now and someone say, hey, that's a cool design, where'd you get that? But we're going to make it perfect. So now that we have it, I'm going to give you a little example here. I like to call it the eyeliner method. I've never put on eyeliner, but this is how I would imagine it's done. So you go and you make your design. You make it kind of sketchy, and you're going to have waves and things in your line. It's not perfectly straight, and you need to go and basically make the outlines thick and fill it in so that it's one solid line there. And if you make that solid line a little sketchy and you think, hey, that's not good enough, I'm going to have to make it a little bit bigger. You keep doing that, soon enough you're going to have a big old cat eye right here. It's going to be huge. So you want to keep it nice and as little passes as possible. Save your hands some time. So we got the wood burner. I actually turned it up a little bit. We got it on a hotter heat so we can rip through this bad boy. But same idea here. But when you're going into this, so you've made like a slight groove where the wood burn has happened, basically. You've indented it and you've burnt it. So I kind of go in on the line again, but I can feel it hitting the edge of the line, and you can see where the little ripples, as I was talking about, are. And you can just like power through them basically and make it a nice smooth outside of the line. And I'm not sure if you can tell here, but I went a little overboard and it's a little thicker here than it is here. So I'm going to go right up to that line and make them all just as thick as the other ones. And basically just rip around this thing. And I kind of like comic book style drawing, anime and stuff. So I do thick, bold outlines, and then the insides, I like to do them thin, so it's like a minor detail, and then you have your major detail on the outside, and then once we get this done, we're going to go into shading, and then that's all she wrote. That's it. So let's power through this outline, and then we'll get back to it. Alright, so we are done with our outline pass. So we did our rough turn and our finish turn. We drew on it. this thing's pretty much ready to go. We're going to do shading, which is the last step that I do. This is what it looks like with the finish pass, much bolder line. You know, I kept the smaller inside details a little bit thinner so you can see a little definition, a little contrast. There's a lot of tools you can do shading with. There's actually tools that are specifically for shading, but after doing this so long, I found ones that end up working better. A lot of people request the stipple shading, which you see that a lot on tattoos and hand drawings and stuff. And the tip that I was using for my liner, how it's pointed like this, typically I'll just put it on a hot temperature and I'll just dot right on the edge, boom, 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 and I'll end up creating thousands of little dots that create definition and texture, and I can go darker or lighter using the heat setting here, and it'll give you a nice wood burnt contrast. So we're not going to do that today, though. We're going to use this lovely nub tip we hear, or as I call it, and it's done. It can do a ton of things. We can do like solid black shading. If you've seen like my logos and things, I do that with it, and you can also do it with this. And like I said, temperature, you can choose whatever you like. You can start lighter and go darker as you like it, but you know, I'm a little bit more experienced, so I'm gonna keep it turned up and just rip right into it. It's very similar to if you've seen a tattoo shaded before, where you're doing small circles that are close together, and the more circles that you do in that small area, the darker it's gonna get. So I do it as if it's like a little tornado, and I'll go dark, 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 and then spread out of it so that it goes dark to light. So you can see here on the inside of this mushroom where those horizontal lines are, there is no shading. And I'll take this here and I'll just start zipping across it and do circles. You can do even like little wider circles too if you want to try to get some contrast in there. And here we are. We have a completed wood burn, completed enough for my liking. So this is what it looks like with some shading, some contrast. I just used my wood burner and this is what I made. We did some line work, we did some shading, we did some graphing. I showed you how to put it on the kendamas. You learned about wood types. Yeah, wood burning's awesome. You can do anything with it. It's endless. It's great for even holiday gifts, making your own setup. You can do small burns, big projects, everything. Yeah. So that's what the final product looks like. This is not coming off of there. It's staying on there. That's the one thing I like about wood burning is that you know, painting inevitably it's gonna come off of there, and wood burning stays on there forever. You can beat it up. Yeah, so this is my wood burning tutorial, and this is, yeah, complete product.